If you've ever felt like guitar is difficult, what I'm about to show you is going to completely revolutionize your concept of guitar playing. Because what I'm about to show you is going to make the music in your head effortlessly come through your instrument. This is not a technique course, this is not a theory dump, and it's definitely not another lick library. What you're about to learn is the foundation for improvisational freedom, and more importantly, the first systematic access point to the flow state. By the end of this training, you won't feel like you know more, you'll feel like you finally understand where to place your focus. And that's the difference that changes everything. This is the intro to Fretboard Mastery. It's built on one simple truth. Freedom on the guitar does not come from memorizing more information. It comes from knowing where to place your focus. And over the next 3 modules, you're going to understand exactly where to place your focus so that you can play this instrument effortlessly. Module 1 is going to open up the entire range of the fretboard using range optimized pathways. And we're going to realize these inside of the 5-1 harmonic rhythm. Module 2 shows you why harmonic rhythm is the portal to the flow state. And Module 3 will compound these lessons into a complete roadmap to guitar mastery, so you never have to guess what to practice ever again. Now let's start where Fretboard Mastery actually begins. Now, most guitarists, without even realizing it, think the fretboard is static. But in reality, the fretboard changes under your fingers according to the harmonic rhythm. This is why scales are not musical. Scales do not imply harmonic rhythms. Conversely, fretboard frames that change in time imply the harmonic rhythms. A fretboard frame is simply a pathway that implies a given harmonic moment. And when that harmonic moment changes, so does the fretboard. So now I'm going to show you 2 very simple fretboard frames using range optimized pathways. The first frame is going to be implying the 5 chord. And now we're going to ingrain this by taking it in smaller chunks. First, 2 strings at a time, like this. Next 2 strings. Next 2 strings, where the string skip is. Why a string skip? Because pathway 2 has a string skip. Taking this in small chunks is how we're going to move a whole lot faster. So 2 strings at a time is an excellent place to start, but ultimately we want to ingrain the pathway so it's very effortless for us to simply move all the way from the bottom all the way to the top, like this. And here's the extra bonus. We can go from those 1/8 notes to the triplets, like this. This is how you ingrain a pathway. Now we're going to do the same thing for the 1 chord, F minor, and we're going to use this pathway 3 hybrid. Later in the course, you'll understand why it's a pathway 3 hybrid. Don't worry about that right now. We're focusing on the first principles at the moment. Ingraining that pathway looks like this, same process, 2 strings at a time. Notice the difference. Got a 1 note per string. Right? It's a little different. Pathway 3 has the 1 note per string. We'll keep going. There's the hybrid part, string skip. And we can do the same thing with the triplets, where we go from 1/8 notes Let's try those triplets slower. 3 and a, 4 and a. Being able to switch from eighth notes to triplets is going to be the fundamental rhythmic practice that's going to help you to ingrain the pathways. Now you'll notice these are not scales, these are not modes, these are pure triads. Why? Because triads provide the maximum clarity for the harmonic rhythm. That's why they need to be the foundation of your musical vocabulary. Only when you master triads across the full range of the guitar will you finally be able to use scales effectively. But most of you are using scales without having the triadic foundation. But this course is going to show you how to improvise and actually experience the flow state with pure triadic voice leading. Now, voice leading is where melody automatically emerges from the transition between two chords. And this is truly the foundation of flow, because when you focus on the voice leading between the two chords as they change, you will systematically drop into the flow state. And once those pathways are ingrained, we now have all the tools we need to voice lead. So we'll start by playing pure eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and change, and 2 and 3 and 4 and change, and 2. Hear that transition? Hear that voice lead. Voice leading is when I move by half step at the point the chords change. This is the secret sauce to musical mastery. This is how guitar icons become icons. They don't focus on playing scales, they focus on voice leading between chords, because that's where all the intrinsic melody exists. It's also the entry point to the flow state, because at this point in the course, something subtle is happening in your mind. You're no longer thinking in terms of,
what scale fits over this chord progression?
now you're thinking in terms of
outlining harmonic movement.
This is where we want to place our focus, because this is the access point to the flow state. Outlining the harmonic rhythm is the portal to the flow state. Now here's the thing that not a single guitar educator has ever said to you: the flow state lives in the harmonic rhythm. Just like a surfer cannot surf without a wave, a musician cannot make music without a harmonic rhythm. The harmonic rhythm is the wave upon which your flow is realized. So in our simple 5-1 progression, the harmonic rhythm is 4 beats on C to 4 beats on F. That's it. This is the simplest but most commonly occurring harmonic rhythm that exists. Every song ever written has a 5-1 that moves symmetrically, where the 5 has the same amount of beats as the 1. So let me illustrate this by just counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and I change 2. That's my harmonic rhythm. 1, 2. Now I'm going to outline that using the pathways. You could hear those chord changes moving consistently in time. I did not deviate from the 4 beats of each chord. That's my focus, and that's how I drop into the flow state. The trick here is to use the single pathway on each chord. I'm not giving myself a million options by seeing every single C triad I could play on the guitar. No, I'm seeing one C triad pathway that voice leads to one F minor pathway. Once I have those 2 pathways ingrained under my fingers and I can hear the change in time, now I'm free to focus on the rhythmic intent. And this is where musicianship exists. It's all realized through rhythm. But in order to focus on rhythm, you need to eliminate all of these harmonic decisions. You need to think of them ahead of time, which is why you choose a pathway, ingrain that pathway, and then voice lead that pathway to the next chord so that you no longer have to think about it. Because musicality doesn't exist by just running pathways up and down. Musicality exists in the rhythmic intention. Now, one of the tricks we can use is we can isolate a region of each pathway to give us even less to think about. For example, on the 5 chord, I can isolate, right? And I can voice lead that to the F minor, effectively eliminating even more options, allowing me to focus even deeper on the rhythm, like this. 3, 4. Isolation is the key to efficient development. So now you see how we can isolate on multiple dimensions. We can isolate string sets on each pathway, and we can actually isolate the transition between the two pathways, because that's where all the gold is, making that transition. Now, once you're able to do this transition in this region, like I challenge you to try moving to those triplets like this. This is where technique is realized. Technique is rhythm. The more subdivisions you play, the more technique you have. So guess what? Technique is not about how you pick and how you use your left hand. It's about hearing more subdivisions and being able to map those subdivisions on effortlessly ergonomic pathways. Exactly what I'm showing you here. You'll find that once you ingrain these pathways, it's very easy to play them fast. Hence, I can hear those da-ba-da-da-ba-da-dun, and then I can project those onto the pathway. These pathways I'm using are ergonomically designed for that effortless fretboard movement that allows you to play anything you hear without being overwhelmed by how much technique it might require. These pathways require the bare minimum technique, which is why they're the best possible starting point for mastering the fretboard. Now, you might already be thinking,
Can we use pathways that are not just triads?
Abso-freaking-lutely. That's what the rest of the Fretboard Mastery course is going to show you. It's going to show you how to turn these pathways into any harmonic implication that you want to use. A small example here, I can take that 5 chord pathway and add a flat 9 to it to increase the tension before resolving to the 1 chord. To the 1 chord. And that's what these 8 modules are going to show you. Throughout this course, you're not only going to understand the full depth of harmony as it relates to the fretboard, you're also going to expand your rhythmic imagination so that you understand what's possible rhythmically, because realizing that is the key to becoming a great musician. What you have to realize is that we all have a unique rhythmic fingerprint. The job of any musician is to realize that unique rhythmic fingerprint and then run that through the harmonic rhythms. So we first realize that on just the 5-1, the simplest, most commonly occurring harmonic rhythm that exists. And then we learn them through all of these. These are all harmonic rhythms that compound the skills that you're developing here in the 5-1 practice. You see, you're at the foot of Mount Everest up here at V0, and we're going to learn the full depth of fretboard mastery at V0. So it's not just triadic voice leading, It's chords, because you don't master the fretboard unless you can play chord voicings all over it. So in the 5-1, we can learn all the chord voicings that imply that harmonic rhythm. For example, the 5, going to the 1, back to the 5, different voicing, 1. That's the full stack mastery. Effortless chord fluency with triadic voice leading. And we can understand the full depth of that at V0. Once we understand it at V0, we simply compound that exact same skill set at V1, V2, V3. And this is the roadmap to mastery. The tunes teach you mastery. And inside the course, I take you through all of these tunes and show you exactly how to apply the same concepts you've learned at V0 all the way through these different harmonic rhythms. And these tunes that you're seeing here, these are the portals to the flow state, because these are just different harmonic rhythms. Each harmonic rhythm takes us to that state of flow when we simply outline the harmonic rhythm accurately through voice leading, through chord voicings, and through our rhythmic imagination. Now, one of the most powerful tools you will ever use to develop guitar mastery is the Fretboard Genius application. This is how you take any of these songs from the V scale and actually see how the fretboard changes with the harmonic rhythm. You see the fretboard frames up here, and you see the pathways that you can use for each frame. And then you see these frames move in time. This is how you increase your practice efficiency by a factor of infinity, because all these pathways I'm talking about can now be arranged according to the harmonic rhythm. So you choose your pathways ahead of time, and then you see how those pathways change one to the next according to the harmonic rhythm. And this is the essence of fretboard mastery. That is what our brain is doing when we're improvising. We're simply seeing the frames change with the harmonic rhythm. Now, inside the Fretboard Mastery course community, I teach all of these different tunes using the Fretboard Genius software. So you'll quickly learn how to use this software to increase your practice efficiency, while also learning how to make effortless music out of these harmonic rhythms. This is how you know exactly what to practice all the time. This is how you begin to teach yourself. And that's why my program is not a weekly lesson program. It's a realization of what fretboard mastery truly is. Once you realize it for yourself, you now can teach yourself fretboard mastery all the way to the summit of the V scale. And I give you lifetime access to this course community for a one-time payment, so you can always get feedback on your playing and make sure that you're progressing in the right direction. I'm always there to guide you every step of the way. That's what the weekly group class is for. But it's also what all of these modules are for, and I continue to add them all the time. So that lifetime access is infinite value, because I've been adding to this course every single week since I started it 1 year ago. And see, what you realize is something that most guitarists never realize in their life. They never realize the roadmap to mastery. They never have the clarity that you are experiencing right now. They just collect information forever and ultimately get stuck in analysis paralysis, because all the information they're collecting doesn't actually show them how music works. But harmonic rhythm shows you how music works. So you don't need more tricks, you don't need more scales, you just need to understand how to interpret a harmonic rhythm as simple as the 5-1, so that you can access the flow state and then do the same thing on these more challenging harmonic rhythms. This is where you're getting the highest leverage on your focus. It's by building all of your musical vocabulary around the harmonic rhythms. So if you're ready to stop circling those same patterns, running those same scales, playing those same 3 half-baked licks over and over again, if you want your practice to finally compound so that your improvisation is effortless, join the Fretboard Mastery course community, get access to the full Fretboard Mastery course, all future updates for life, access to the weekly group class, and also a one-on-one lesson with me is included when you join the Fretboard Mastery course community. And this is literally the last guitar lesson you'll ever need, because I'm going to teach you how to teach yourself, and I'm going to give you all of the course material inside the community to guide you along that journey to fretboard mastery. And of course, you have access to the Fretboard Genius software and all the future updates that we make with that. And that tool alone is life-changing, because it shows you how music actually works from the perspective of guitar and gives you a practice framework that you can use so you never wonder what to practice ever again. So click the link below this video to access the full Fretboard Mastery course. Now, of course, you're thinking,
How much does this thing cost?
well, considering you've probably spent more than $1,000 on trying to figure this stuff out already, I'm offering this to you at a freaking steal. $275 for lifetime access to the community, all future updates to the course, plus the last guitar lesson you'll ever need. Not to mention the 30+ hours of content already inside the course community. This is easily the last money you will ever spend on your guitar education. And if you're seeing this now, you're really lucky because we're offering that lifetime access, one-time payment. But by the time I release the next update for the free course, we're gonna have moved to a monthly subscription model, and it's gonna be a whole lot more expensive. And that's because the community is growing really fast. And for me to give all the students the attention that they deserve, I've gotta increase the price in order to manage the community with the care and intention that you deserve. So get lifetime access while you can, and I'll see you in there.